Hey everybody, it is Christopher Not Walking. You are listening to the Dirty Nerdy Show. Today we have a special guest, and it's going to be a different episode. We're going to get a little serious this time. And I know what you're thinking at home. You're like, oh no, Christopher Not Walking serious? It can't happen. Well, it can, and it is, because today we have Elo ASMR. And
What's up?
What's up? And
How's it going?
It's going great. So today we're gonna be touching on some topics that are important to both of us because they impact our lives in different ways, and we relate in different ways because if you're not familiar, she lives with autism, and I live with a physical disability, and there are some things that intersect in our experiences, and there are things that are very different, and we're going to really dive in to how, like, the way her thought process affects the way she creates ASMR, the way it impacts her life, the way it's going to be a learning experience for not only me, but for you guys, for everyone who clicks play on this video, and I can't wait to get started. So let's just jump right into it.
Sounds good.
Let's start real easy. How'd you find ASMR?
How did I find ASMR? Great question. I was in college in a creative writing class, and I knew that I had this feeling throughout my life, specifically in doctors' offices where it was really serious and quiet, and there were a lot of subtle movements like the paper crinkling, and I had no idea what it was, but it just so happened that my professor did, and he actually had us listen to a radio clip that was a segment on ASMR, and it featured the Water Whispers Elsa and a couple other people. I don't remember whether or not Maria was a part of it at that point in time, but it was on national radio, I guess, back then. And he played that for our class, and it was an immediate realization and understanding for me. And that night I went onto YouTube, now knowing about this secret community, and I watched a dermatologist roleplay by ASMR requests, and I felt really weird about it. It was something I had to get used to and sort of settle into, like the feeling of watching these strangers and being vulnerable, and I felt kind of creepy at first, but once I was able to like calm down and accept it as something that would be normal and good for me, I've never looked back.
Well, what was that moment when you decided this is something that I want to make? Because it's a very large leap from being the silent observer, like don't look at my
true.
search history, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To jumping in and creating the content.
Yeah. So I guess that must have been like 2013 when I found out about ASMR, and I watched it to fall asleep every night, and it really wasn't until like 2016, like a whole 3 years later, that I was like, wow, this would be something I would really be interested in doing. And
yeah,
I sort of started finding objects every day in life that I liked the sounds of, and would sort of like self-stimulate in that way, I guess, like listen to crinkling and stuff. Like when I was really anxious or something, if I was out of the house, if I had something with me that I could crinkle, like I sort of just felt better. So taking it on the run and really using it in my life, since I'm such an anxious person regularly. And I started thinking like, well, I never thought I would use my voice, but I thought maybe I could make some sounds videos. Um, and I don't know, I guess honestly the thing that finally pushed me to do it was I didn't know how I would possibly do it because I didn't have any equipment. And still, I sort of am building my little empire over here. But I watched a video by Whispers Red, Emma, and it was one of her earlier videos. She was talking about making ASMR, and in that, she showed a clip of her first ASMR video, and she had filmed it on her phone, and it was just like dark and looked like anyone else filming on their phone. It wasn't well done at all. And she advised everyone to like, just try, just get out there and start. It doesn't matter if your first video is terrible. At least you're like making the step.
Yeah.
And that really inspired me to actually just try it. And I don't know, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I just figured I would make sounds that I liked.
I definitely feel you on the first video thing. Like I'm not making ASMR. My job is to interview ASMR artists. But before that, the Dirty Nerdy Show. The reason it's called the Dirty Nerdy Show, is I wanted to do like something like Collider Movie Talk, where we just talk about like nerdy like movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like our whole like first few episodes, like I did the thumbnails in Paint, and I used like the basic. they're privated now, but like
you got to start somewhere.
I did the basic, like the font was like Arial. Like and like I was like I'm just gonna color fill, and I'm gonna take the little like oval shape, and that's gonna be my logo.
But then look where you've come. I mean, you really do just have to start. I think that's like a huge part of life, is just stop thinking about it and start it.
Yeah. So I did start this video by saying that we would talk about autism and how your thought process, because it's very different. How does your thought process impact the way that you think about creating content, the way you approach your videos?
That is a big question. Yeah. So, well, everyone who's autistic is different, obviously, just like anyone else. That's pretty normal for everyone to have different thought patterns and tendencies and ways that they process things. It's just for autistic people, the way that we process things is a little bit more different, I suppose. But we do still have some things in common sometimes, and sometimes not. There are different categories in which the brain can be impacted, but it is a literal neurological difference in the development of the brain. So the thing that I like to explain to people is the same way that you can't be just a little bit pregnant, you can't be a little bit autistic. You either are that way or you're not that way. So it's definitely not just certain personality traits. But for me personally, I happen to have very good auditory retention. So my memory with pitch and tone and just quality of a sound is nearly perfect. Like out of 1,000 people, only 2 other people, like me and 1 other person, would have the same capability with that. So it's definitely an interesting thing to have, and it can be really helpful, but it can also kind of stink. Like if you have a song stuck in your head that you don't want to hear and you can hear it perfectly over and over and over again, it gets really annoying. So it's not always...
You never have to buy music.
That's true. I feel like I always joke that if the world exploded and I was like the only person left who remembered music, I could recreate quite a bit of it. And that's sort of interesting to me. But I guess to answer your question, when I think about making a video, the first thing I consider are what sounds I want to be involved, whether that's going to be certain mouth sounds like people really seem to enjoy T's. Some people like S's, the end of like a D, so like liked, or that's the reason why good is often a trigger for people because the end of that D, where your tongue just sort of clips the bottom of your mouth, people just really like that sound. So I'll think about the words that I'm going to use, and I'll also think about any props that might make noises, and then I sort of design the video to fit those sounds in.
So you sort of like write around it.
Yeah, I never really have a full plan. I might know like, oh, I'm going to do an eyebrow video, but what are going to be the sounds that I want to be in that video? And then I'll just make sure that the role play or whatever incorporates all of those noises in some way.
That's really awesome. You said that you have like perfect like auditory retention.
Nearly.
Yeah. And I know something about you that maybe like not everyone knows is
Uh-oh.
I think you know where I'm going.
Let's hear it.
See, Elo over here is the dopest singer on the planet.
That's a lot of hype.
It's well worth the hype. I've heard you, and it's
Thank
great. Do you think that ability to, you know, perfectly like listen to a note and remember it, and do you think that helps with your musical abilities because you're super talented?
Well, thank you, first of all. I would imagine that it helps having like the ability to recreate a pitch perfectly, but I think just because I just don't want to give the impression that the two things are tied. I think that someone can have just as good of an auditory memory as I do, but not have the physical capability to match pitch with their voice necessarily. But I think that it would always be helpful in, for instance, picking up an instrument or something, being able to play by ear. I think that would, anyone could benefit from that. But yeah, I think it's probably very helpful. I definitely have more lyrics in my head than anyone I've ever met, and I would love to talk to someone else who has as many songs in their head.
Well, I mean, that's one thing that they said about Prince, who there's a lot of speculation that he was on the spectrum, and he was like that. He always had a song in his head. He always had a you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, definitely.
Like the amount of like musical output that he had over like the span of his entire career was insane, and he still has like the vault has at least like 100 years of content in there.
Yeah, it's a huge catalog.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. How'd you get into piano, by the way? Because like, I heard you sing like a cappella, and I was like, that's cool. And then I went to the channel, right? And then, and then I heard you do, I believe it was Regina Spektor. Yeah, it was Regina Spektor. And you played the piano, and I was like, oh my God, she's so good.
Thanks.
Like, because you were hitting her notes, and her notes are crazy because she's like, her range is all over the place, and you were like nailing it, and I was like, oh my God, she's like the best ever. Like, so like, how'd you pick up how'd you pick up piano?
Well, that was sort of my parents just wanting me to learn. And I think the first thing I can ever remember playing was Go Go Power Rangers theme song in pre-K. When I was
Yes.
like 4 years old. They had these tiny little, they were actually like little mats, like plastic rollout mats, but they had little notes in them. So they looked like keyboards. And that's like the first memory I have of playing, but I guess I enjoyed it. So at 4, my parents put me into piano lessons and I just never stopped, I guess.
Oh my god. Okay, I loved the Power Rangers as a kid, so I have to ask you,
Yes.
who was your favorite?
Oh man, that's so hard. That's so hard. I think the white Power Ranger always like jazzed me. Like it was just so interesting to see the white Power Ranger.
Oh, so you like Tommy?
It was just always a big deal. And I never really understood why, but I just still thought it was like interesting that it was a big deal all the time.
I liked him as
I
the
don't
Green
know.
Ranger.
I think it never really occurred to me either that like Power Rangers has been distorted for me as an adult because they pointed out that like the black guy's the black one and the Asian girl's the yellow
Yeah,
one
I
and
know,
like
right?
and I'm like, man, now I don't know what I think about these people. I don't know, like did I have opinions? I don't know.
It was very much the 90s. And then
Yeah,
they cast this, and then it wasn't until afterwards that they were like, "Oh shit!"
I know. I know. Honestly, the things that I remember the most about Power Rangers was that evil witch lady who was like
Rita
always,
Repulsa.
oh my God, she scared the crap out of me as a kid. I was terrified of her, seriously and truly. It was bad. And also the monster from the food fight episode that was like a big flailing pig. It was just disgusting. I've just never forgotten it.
Remember Bulk and Skull? Like they were like the comedy relief.
Yeah.
And
It was a great show, but just looking back, I have so many questions.
you would see like some super serious, like melodramatic stuff
I
going on with
know.
like Kimberly and Tommy and Jason, and then it would cut to like Bulk and Skull just being idiots.
It's a perfect show, really.
It
It had
really
all the
was.
elements. All the elements.
Oh, now I know what I'm doing after this interview.
I know.
I'm going to Netflix and I'm gonna watch Power Rangers because I'm a grown ass child.
Good choice.
Yeah. So, what are some other like nerdy like '90s things that you loved?
Oh my God. Well, I had a keychain collection and I still have it. And it's a massive just wad of keychains and they're so like girl power, like, just very
Just Spice Girls.
I have, yep, there's a Spice Girls one. I have all of the Powerpuff Girls, obviously.
Yeah.
And they have little action lines that they say if you press a button on them. I don't know, but I was huge into cartoons and stuff. I never had cable though, so it was always like the basic cartoons and like Reading Rainbow, anything on PBS, Mr. Rogers, all that.
I didn't have the Disney Channel growing up. I was very depressed about that.
Yeah, I didn't have that either. I can actually remember, actually this might have been Nickelodeon, but I slept over someone's house when I was a kid and they left that station on the television and fell asleep. And when I woke up, there was like a face on the TV. I don't know if you remember this, but he was like the Nick at Night, like your screen would just turn to one color and a pair of eyes and a mouth would come onto it. And it was like your whole TV was talking to you. Do you remember this guy?
Yes.
He was so creepy and would just like, hey, just, I went home crying. I walked home, okay, from down the street. I could not handle that thing. They didn't have that on my TV. Terrifying.
You were like, all I can imagine is like, like the mom from like Waterboy, and you just walking home as a kid being like, cable is the devil.
Yep. Yeah, I was not having it. It's not for me.
That's great. I loved the Powerpuff. I loved like '90s cartoons because that's when I grew
Oh
up.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I think for all of us that are like '90s kids, like that's you know, like Animaniacs was my joy.
Oh my god, yeah, loved Animaniacs. And God, let's see. There was that one show where they were like shark teenagers. It was like a cartoon. They were like Animorphin maniacs or something. I don't even remember.
Animorphs?
Gargoyles. Maybe Animorphs was one of them. And then there was Gargoyles and Animaniacs and Static Shock, Jackie Chan Adventures.
All of the like Justice League shows.
Oh yeah,
like
Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I love.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good cartoons in the 90s.
90s Batman was like my shit.
Oh yeah, I watched Spider-Man a lot too.
Oh yeah, you remember the they had the best theme song, and it would be like with like the guitar, and then it goes Spider, and like
Spider-Man, Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was so good.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Did you know that on the Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s, he never punched anyone?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Fun
the
fact.
censors thought that it was too violent, so he never actually punched anyone. If you go back and watch it, you'll never see him throw a punch.
Oh, we've come a long way.
Yeah. I liked that show. My favorite Spider-Man show, though, was Spectacular Spider-Man, which only ran for like 2 seasons, but it was really good.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh, it's like the best one.
Have to check it out. Everything's online now.
Yeah. Favorite movies? Okay, go.
I am obsessed with all Wes Anderson movies. So my favorite movie of all time is The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Nice.
And I'm also obsessed with all of his movies. So like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Grand Budapest Hotel, Royal Tenenbaums, the Bottle Rocket, Moonrise Kingdom was pretty popular. And he just came out with Isle of Dogs recently.
The animated one.
Yeah, it's so good. I just watched it the other weekend, and I'm obsessed with it already.
It's out now?
It's in the Redbox, yeah. I don't know that it ever went to theaters, not where I lived anyway, because I was surprised, but I just saw it in Redbox and had to go for it.
Oh, I'm going to have to like look into it and get it because holy crap.
It's really, really well done.
The trailer looked amazing.
It's worth it. Definitely worth it.
Yeah. So,
but those are, yeah, definitely my favorite movies.
We've got to talk music because I'm telling you, you're the second coming of Prince.
I can deal with that if that's my destiny.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, and if you need like a guitarist, I'm your guy. I can.
I'll hit you up. Yep.
I just recorded something last night. Actually, I'll send it to you after the interview.
Please do.
But yeah, let's talk about music. Who were some of your favorites that influenced you growing up?
Golly, well, I grew up watching Soul Train and listening to a lot of disco and I guess the oldies, Beach Boys, Rolling Stones, the Beatles, of course, America, all kinds of older. I just love all of that sort of 70s music. It's probably my favorite. But I'm also a huge metalhead, which not a lot of people know about me. I
want to see you do death metal. Like,
oh my God, I wish I could scream so badly. I just feel like maybe in another life, but not this one. I really, really love a lot of metal bands, but between the Buried and Me, Dance Gavin Dance, everything from Psychroptic to All Shall Perish, Whitechapel. I love all of it. So I think I also have been into hip hop and R&B and rap for as long as I can remember. As soon as I found it, as soon as the radio became a thing to me, I was always on the hip hop stations. I just love the beats. I love the flow of that music and how chill it is. And a lot of my singing idols growing up were predominantly female hip hop artists like Brandy and Monica and Three Little Women and TLC, Aaliyah. I mean, I was huge into all of that. So I think I have a pretty diverse musical background, and
I feel you there.
I'm sure it all influences me in some way.
I have a few musical questions.
Sure.
And one comment. The one comment being, when I was a little kid, I had like the biggest crush on Aaliyah, like for real. Like
she was a foxy lady.
She was so pretty and so talented, and I was like, oh no, she's gone.
I had a crush on Maya. Whenever I saw the My Love Is Like Whoa music video, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I like her.
She's hot. She be posting thirst traps on Twitter now.
I don't know. Yeah, I hadn't followed her on any social media, so I thought she fell off a long time ago.
Follow her on Twitter, because good lord. And what was your favorite Beach Boys album? Because you mentioned the Beach Boys, and I love the Beach Boys.
Man, I don't know actually the album titles, but I know that like we used to put Surfing USA and all that on, and my parents would put us in the laundry basket, or my brother would put me in the laundry basket on like a towel and push it all around, the house while this music was going. That's like a very vivid childhood memory.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah. It's good times. Beach Boys definitely get you hype as a kid. Like,
yeah, they do.
Run around the house like a crazy person, and it was just fun.
I think you should listen to Pet Sounds. That's a really great Beach Boys album. Like it'll sonically it'll be with you for a minute. It's
definitely check it out. I'm sure that I've heard probably every Beach Boys song there is, but I've never sat down and listened album by album. So that would be a fun experience, because I don't really know them as I like to listen to bands by the album if I can, because I feel like it gives you a better understanding of who they're trying to be, like what they want to get out there, than just hearing one song. But I've never done that. Favorite album, period?
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's probably going to be a Modest Mouse album, but I don't know which one to pick. Oh man, maybe Good News for people who love bad news, but I don't know if I can settle with that. That's a hard question. Next question.
I like the one. I like the one where they're like, float on.
Oh yeah, that's not good people. Good news. I'm trying to remember. It's not going to come to me.
Because I used to.
No. Might have been We Were Dead Before the Ship Even Sank, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure.
I remember being a teenage boy, right, when that song came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try and learn, because the guitar part is very sort of it's just pretty. I like it.
Yeah.
So I would try to figure, and this was long before they had tab websites and things like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I would just be like, where's this at?
Yeah, I think that's
the guitar, just looking for it.
Part of the reason that song actually made it to the radio and stuff was just because people actually could relate to the music. And I think I like even the oldest Modest Mouse albums are some of my favorites probably as well, like Moon in Antarctica and all that, because it's just a raw sound, before they really made everything so polished. Float On was really good for a crossover song. So
what's your favorite song from Modest Mouse?
Man, these are really difficult questions. I wasn't prepared for this.
I'm out here being not Charlie Rose.
I know you hyped me up and now I just sound dumb because I can't. You're asking me like the hardest questions that a person could ask me.
Let's ask an easier question, okay?
Let's do that. Yeah, give me a break here, man.
All right, let's ask an easier question. You can think about that one.
I will.
All right. Where do you think we go when we die?
Nowhere, personally.
That was a joke.
What?
That was a joke. I was like, you said an easier question, so I went to a significantly harder question.
Well, welcome to the life of being an Aspie. We take everything seriously.
An Aspie? What's that?
Person with Asperger's, which is my term, I guess, for the autism spectrum. People who are on the...
It sounds like an award.
I feel like I won an award, you know?
You know, like, we're going to the Aspies.
Oh, yeah. Well, because you're thinking the ESPYs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty close. I'm not surprised you made that connection.
The Aspies. What would the statue be?
I don't know. There's just so much we can do with that.
I think you should design it. I think we should, like, make an award, call it the Aspies. That would be great.
Could be.
Yeah. We have some more disability questions, but first, I did ask Twitter. I was like, yo, Twitter, ask us things. And you know what? They did. Wow,
I'm surprised. Go Twitter. I can't keep up with Twitter. It's so fast. I miss so much.
I love Twitter. Twitter is like, I don't know. I just love Twitter because it's fun to connect with people.
That's
Jordan
true.
ASMR writes, he wants me to ask you what your dream destination would be.
Dream destination? Like I'm gonna die there, or like am I traveling?
I think you're traveling. I don't think death
I'm
is
traveling.
required.
Okay, well that's nice. Let's see. I really, really, really want to go to Switzerland. I love the look of the Swiss Alps and the fields at the bottom, and I just think everything's really picturesque, and maybe I'll be highly disappointed, but if the pictures are any indication, I think I won't be. I'm definitely interested in going to Switzerland, so that might be like my dream destination.
Are you going to go skiing?
I don't know. I've never been skiing before.
Me either, but my legs don't work, so you know.
Yeah, well, you've got reasons. We can make a sled. Have you ever been tobogganing? Because that shit can be really scary.
What's that?
It's sort of like an inflatable donut that you sit on, but it has like handles on either side that you can sort of shuck into the snow and change your direction. So it's like really high speed sledding.
Oh, that sounds really fun.
It is, but it's scary.
I know they have like adaptive skis for like people like me that are disabled.
Right.
But I've never done it. But it's not that I don't want to, because I totally do. It's just that I live in the South.
Yeah.
Where it like barely snows here, and
not a lot of opportunity.
Rains every day in the summer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She knows all about that.
I know all about it.
So we've talked for about a couple weeks now, I think. Mm-hmm. And I've shared a lot of my disability experience with you. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, what do you think are some similarities, and what are some like stark differences in our experience?
Great question again. I guess one thing, like we were talking about, it's difficult for people to understand living with disability, because I just think you can't really ever wrap your head around someone else's life, particularly. I think people are just only capable of experiencing so much, and that's part of what makes the world a beautiful and diverse place, is the fact that we're not all alike. And as I was, saying to you even earlier, like, if everyone were only able to be within each other's parameters of what they could understand, then life would be incredibly boring, and just not particularly interesting. I think people would be very depressed. So we need diversity, first of all, but people still only want diversity within their own idea of what's good or what's right or what's acceptable. So, people tend to treat you differently. And like I was saying, I really dislike when people make it seem like, oh, look at what this person with autism did. And it's like, that person is not conquering autism because they're just autistic and that's the way it is. What they're conquering is the system of society which works so hard against them and doesn't accept them and let them flourish in their own way, doesn't see them as equal or make things an even playing field for them. So it's really just these constructs that other people have created that are the barriers. We're not a barrier to ourselves, and I think people need to accept that.
Yes, that's exactly where I was headed, because we were talking earlier about like how like we'll see like Facebook videos, and this is something that we both like very much have in common. Like we'll see videos, or like, I don't know about you, but people tag me in videos.
Yeah.
If it's a disabled person, and they're like, look what this disabled person can do with this contraption. They can stand now. Isn't that amazing? And I'm just like, really, dude? Like, stop. Like, I like when, like, people just, like, look at me as me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look past, like, the disability.
People just need to qualify everything in terms that they understand in order to make it less frightening for them or less awkward for them or whatever. It's just a coping mechanism, I think. So I try not to fault people for it, but at the same time, like, it's about time that we start being okay with the fact that people are different. Like, we're opting for all this social change in so many other ways, and yet, people like me and you have been around forever, for just as long as anyone else, and there's still like no change in the way people with disabilities are treated.
Like, and it's for like physical disabilities, and in my experience, you're either bullied or like it's the exact opposite, where you're like super babied. And it's just I don't, and I was talking to my friend Brandon, shout out to Brandon, and he put it he put it in a way that was like, I was like, that's actually perfect, I'm going to use that later. He was like, some people are born with brown eyes, some people are born without working legs. It's just a thing.
It's true. It's true. I mean, it's very I was just saying this in a reward video I was making for Patreon, but people, the idea of making a person, I think we take for granted a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot more complicated, than nature makes it seem. And there are so many things that can be different from one baby to the next, not just physically, but mentally. And I just think that we can't possibly comprehend, without a lot of effort, we can't possibly comprehend those differences and what they might mean for people. So we just sort of act like we know everything, and we don't. And I think that just leads to a lot of unnecessary tensions and confusion between people who do or don't have something, are or not something. It just becomes a divide where there doesn't need to be one, just lack of education.
Yeah. So, society, get with the program because
Yeah.
we're here and we're super dope.
Like us.
Come love us, damn it. I'll get you a little play the piano and I'll play the guitar for you. Just love us.
Just kidding, we don't need you.
Yeah. Fuck y'all. I got good parking and she's got really good memory, so like
That's right.
what do we need you
I'll
for?
beat you in any card game. Come at me.
For real? Can you actually do that?
No. I'm not Rain Man.
No, it was like I was about to be like, girl, let's go to Vegas.
I know. No, you think I'd be here, you know? No.
Yeah, ELO is not an X-Men.
No, unfortunately not. Though I would love to be. That is another one of my favorite movie series. Now that you bring that up. X-Men are just dope, and they're so underrated.
I feel like I relate to the X-Men a little bit more because of like disability.
For sure.
Like
they have such a good story too. Like it's just such a
I
don't know. I would want to live in that world for sure.
Do you read the comics?
I've read some, but I don't have to collect all of them or anything. But I have definitely taken the opportunity to read when I can.
Lucky for you, I am a huge X-Men fan, and
That's what's up.
I have a bunch of them, and I have a bunch of digital copies. And I will send as many over as you wish.
Oh my god, are you Oprahing me right now?
Yeah.
This is amazing. I never thought I'd see this day.
I feel like Oprah. This is great. You get a car. You get a car.
But comics, so, you know, it's even better.
Yeah. Also, like, there's other comics that I think you would probably enjoy, like Saga. Saga is made by Image Comics. Yeah, I just have a ton of stuff that I think you would really enjoy.
That's what's up. I'm always reading, so.
But yeah, is there anything else that you want to tell the people before we get out of here, and do other things and create awesome
Go
things?
about our days, yeah. I guess just try to look at people differently than you do currently, even if you think you're doing a good job. There's always room for improvement with all of us, and I think one part of being a good member of society, even if you don't believe in anything that society stands for, you can still contribute and do something positive just by recognizing that not everyone's like you, for better or for worse. And that also being said, on the other hand, people are also very similar to you in certain ways, even if you think they won't be. We're all just trying to figure out what the hell we're doing here, I think. And I don't think that that's different, whether you have a disability or not. We're all just figuring it out. So just be nice to people. Yeah.
I'm going to add on to your comment.
Please.
We're all just, spinning around on this big rock called Earth. And we're in this big universe. And there's a whole lot of other things out there that are like super serious. Mm-hmm. And we should all just get along and try and be a little understanding of each other, because holy crap, Mars has water on it.
It's happening.
So let's all get along before the aliens come over and enslave us. You know what I'm saying?
I know. I have to say this. I saw this little comic the other day and it blew my mind. Hopefully it'll blow y'all's minds too. there was like, I'm always thinking that they just haven't found us yet. But then there was this comic that was like, what if they did find us and just decide that we're too stupid and they don't want to interact with us? And I have not slept straight since.
Well, there is like, I don't know if you watch Star Trek, but there is like the Prime Directive.
I haven't seen much Star Trek.
Well, okay. Well, the Prime Directive is like the Starfleet thing that states that you can't interfere with a planet and a culture that one, they haven't like conquered like warp speed, and
Okay, so we're
two,
missing that.
and they have to be like intellectually advanced enough to be like one world of like peace.
I'm telling you, we're not doing it right.
So we're not doing it right. So I don't think we're gonna get the Vulcans coming over anytime soon.
So, point of this whole interview, if you guys want the aliens to come, just be nicer to each other, learn more.
Yeah, otherwise, like, Spock's not coming.
That's right. We'll be stuck here forever.
Elo, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
This was, honestly, and I mean this was one of my favorite interviews that I've ever done.
Oh, stop.
Is the truth. And I think you and I should, like, maybe possibly do a song together. I think that would be dope.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. You might hear an Elo and Christopher Not Walking
collab.
She'll definitely be playing the piano because I can't do that shit. She'll definitely be doing the singing because I definitely can't do that shit. But I'll play the guitar on it and I'll make it all pretty. It'll sound nice.
Dig it.
Yeah. But yeah, Elo, thank you so much for coming on. You are
absolutely
a saint, and I adore you, and I'm so happy that we have this friendship now.
Thank you, likewise.
And yeah, guys, here's what you got to do. You got to go subscribe to Elo ASMR. Links down below as always. Make sure you like this video if you liked it, and even if you didn't like it, still leave a like because it makes me feel good. And
that's right.
And then make sure that you hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that yet. I don't know why you wouldn't have, but just do it. You
just do it.
We've got great interviews coming up. Who do we have? I'm drawing a blank. Miss Wisp is coming on the show very soon. We've got ASMR Amanda coming on the show also very soon. I'm actually, as of recording this, we're shooting with Amanda on Tuesday. So that's another big one. But yeah, guys, friggin' go subscribe to Elo. She's the best, and I love talking to her and talking
Thanks so
music.
much.
And she's great, and she sings real nice. And I'm gonna ask her really nicely if we can like put a song like in the description. If she says no, it's not happening. But if she says yes, it's totally happening. But yeah, I'm Christopher Not Walking. This is the Dirty Nerdy Show. That's Elo ASMR, and we will see you the next time we see you on TDNS. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.